But will the president address the Bosasa issue, and how will he navigate around the issues of his son's links to the company? Public Relations Strategist Makhosini Nkosi joins me now with hopefully some of those answers. Makhosini, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of focus always on what a current president would include in his State of the Nation address, but I dare say that this year we're probably wondering what he will omit from the State of the Nation address. What do you think?
I think it's going to be the most awkward State of the Nation address ever delivered since 1994, and this is why I'm saying it. He is finishing a term of somebody he doesn't have much respect for in terms of what was done during that 5 years. And what makes it awkward was that he was 2IC, he was second in command during that time. And there has been talk of wasted 9 years, and now you must give a report back on that. You must remember, the last State of the Nation address, that's a victory lap. That's when the president says, my administration has done A, B, C, and D, and sort of set the tone for the election campaign as they're going towards elections. But where you have a president who believes that the past 5 years have been wasted, who believes that there was corruption, we are sitting with the increased VAT, record unemployment, it's a terrible state that he has to talk to and be positive about. And as a political consultant, I'll be very keen to know to see how he positions himself and how he positions the administration.
He strikes me as a man that also doesn't take kindly to almost being embarrassed. And I don't know if you think that's too strong a word to use when speaking about how the Bosasa story unfolded inside Parliament, when he answered those questions in Parliament and placed on the record that he spoke to his son about it. He showed him the contract. This is what that money was for. And then outside of Parliament needed to backtrack and send out a statement that I made this answer based on information that I had. But it's not going to be that easy for him to shake that cloud, is it?
I don't know if the issue will arise. I don't know if the EFF intends to raise the issue. But I think his handling of the Bosasa matter, when he spoke with so much confidence and even spoke about seeing contracts and all that. And I think he was ill-advised in that instance. Sometimes you need to take a step back, see what is happening, apprise yourself of the situation before you speak. And I think he spoke in a way he cornered himself. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, I don't know why the media and opposition parties let him off so lightly on this one. But and also, on the other hand, the EFF must be very careful not to be seen to be disrupting the State of the Nation address for the sake of disrupting.
Whereas the young people would say just nje.
Just nje. Because I think also the EFF must be made to understand that the State of the Nation address is not a parliamentary issue exclusively. Otherwise, it wouldn't be done at night. It's done at night so that people can be able to watch. And what do people want to see? People don't want to see disruptions. Those are distractions. We've had distractions for the past 9 years. We want substance now. We want to know, how does the president position the past 5 years that he was part of that have brought us so much problems, record unemployment, VAT is high. You know, it's really not a positive thing. There's no positive story to tell. So it would be keen, and I think many South Africans would want to know, how is he going to position himself? How is he going to position his administration given on the State of the Nation address?
The president has spent a large part of his last year in office on this economic drive.
Yes.
Obviously, that's also a familiar and comfortable space for him, given his career outside of politics. I've been quite fascinated to read and see and hear what people have to say and how they see the work of the Zondo Commission. For instance, when they were in Davos, an analyst here said to me that internationally people are quite encouraged by the work of the Zondo Commission, that it's laying bare the corruption that has taken place, and that fills them with a bit more trust going forward and contemplating making investments. But locally, I feel like it's viewed differently. People are listening to what's coming out of the Zondo Commission and then saying, yes, but what now? What are you going to do about it? You were in office when that happened. How do you see him reflecting on the work of the Zondo Commission?
I think there's something that I need to say for the benefit of your viewers. It's not clear-cut that he was deputy president, therefore he was complicit, therefore he agreed with everything. Thabo Mbeki did not agree with everything that Nelson Mandela was doing. Jacob Zuma did not agree with everything that Thabo Mbeki was doing, and so on and so on. Even now, David Mabuza is not happy with everything that Cyril Ramaphosa is doing. So you've got to understand that the relationship between the president and deputy president is nuanced, right?
Indeed.
Right. So the president appoints the cabinet, he decides who does what inside his cabinet. So you can be a sidelined deputy president who really has no say. So let's keep that at the back of our minds. But when it comes to the issue of foreign investors like what they see from the Zondo Commission and all that, because they think there is going to be follow-up action. Now, is there going to be follow-up action or not? That's something that we'll have to see. But South Africans are quite correct in saying, yes, these things are coming out. Now, what are you going to do about them? And, when you're talking about corruption in South Africa, my organization, The Nation's Voice, did a survey in 2017. We found that corruption was the number one issue for people. Number one issue because they see how it affects them. They see that it's stealing away their lunch. Right? I mean, it's
and
simple.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
No, look, I mean, absolutely. If you take Bosasa, for instance, Bosasa was having a dominance, was having a monopoly of state tenders. Whose lunch were they stealing? They were stealing the lunch of black SMMEs.
Quite blatant.
It's not that people don't see that. It's not that people don't know that. They know that this corruption is negatively affecting them, and they want to see what is the president going to do. And the beginning, actually, is going to be with the ANC list process. Who is the ANC sending to parliament? If it's sending the very same people who are, who have been implicated in acts of corruption, then the ANC will be saying to people, we are not taking the issue of corruption seriously, we're just paying lip service to it.
Now, obviously, the State of the Nation address is not just the rambling thoughts of an individual like the president. There's a lot that goes in it. There's obviously, you would have taken into consideration various portfolios in his cabinet, what they want him to say. There's his own opinion, and then, of course, he's also the president of the governing party. What kind of balance do you think he's going to be striking? I know it's a very difficult question.
First of all, he is the head of the executive. He appoints all the ministers and deputy ministers, and they appoint the DGs, etc. So he is, the chief spokesperson for the government. Yes, there will be inputs from other people. There will be inputs from ministers who, should we say, are more aligned politically to the former president, who would want to have, very nice things to say. And he has to balance that with his own opinion of the past 5 years and the opinions of South Africans who are not very impressed, and quite correctly not impressed with the past 5 years.
Fascinating stuff. I'm sure you're going to be watching with bated breath and making notes, and we'll look forward to your opinion following up. Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Makhosini Nkosi, joining us, giving us some insight on what he is. Let me find the right camera. There, camera one. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let's move on.